Ladies and gentlemen, in today's video, we're going to cover what's actually causing your reflux. And you probably know that antacids aren't the answer, but you might still find yourself being sucked back into taking them or some other thing that might cover up the symptoms. And you don't want to do that. You want real solutions. That's why you're here. That's why you're watching. If you already subscribed to my channel, welcome back. If you're new to me, my name is Dr. James Nall. I am a chiropractor who quit doing functional medicine many years ago when I finally realized that it is nothing more than an expensive way to feel like you're being productive. And there is a much better solution that actually works and actually heals. It just doesn't look like how I thought it would look. But yeah, in 2016, I started doing medical medium protocols. I've never looked back. There's nothing out there that even comes close to it. I do have a coaching business where I help other people figure out how to actually get the healing results that they want. I also realize not everyone is willing or able to do a coaching program with me, so I do want to provide some free value here. Or if you just want to check me out, this is a good place to kind of see how I look at these types of health conditions. So let's dive right in. So when we're talking about acid reflux, we're going to cover everything in that big group, whether it's GERD, it's indigestion, anything in that realm, right? You have some bubbling, some burning, some discomfort, some pain after you eat certain foods or a certain position. If you have this, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So moving on, what are some mistakes people make when trying to figure out what actually causes it? Because that's what you have to understand if you want to have a chance at actually reversing any chronic health issue. You have to be crystal clear on what's causing that problem. Otherwise, you're just throwing stuff up against the wall, hoping something sticks, right? It's like if you had a leak in your house, do you want to just keep replacing the drywall that gets soaked with the water? Or do you want to take some time and understand and go find where the actual leak is coming from so you can go fix that? Now, logically, of course, we all say, yeah, I'm going to go find the source of the leak. But with our health, we hardly ever do that because we've been trained to just patch that drywall because that's good business for some people. Some people make a lot of money off of us just looking at the symptoms and not really being clear on the root cause. But you're smarter than that. That's why you're here. I like that about you. So some very common things that people get wrong about acid reflux, GERD, indigestion, things of this nature is that it's caused by too much stomach acid. That is not the case whatsoever. Now, thankfully, this information has been out there long enough where natural or functional practitioners have picked up on this quite a while ago. They're on to the idea that, or the fact that it's actually caused by low stomach acid, but they still don't know how to fix it the right way. So it's not caused by an overproduction of your good hydrochloric acid. It's not caused by spicy foods. Can you believe that? Spicy foods do not cause that. In fact, a ripe chili pepper helps to stimulate production of your good hydrochloric acid in a healthy way. I love hot peppers. I put them on so many of my dishes. I do not have acid reflux. I don't have them. Now, a couple caveats to that. Where do people usually eat spicy foods? They usually eat them. It's usually in like a vinegar type of sauce. We'll cover why vinegar is bad if you have acid reflux, believe it or not, but that's true. It is bad. Or if you're eating a green pepper, any type of pepper that is green means it's not ripe. That is an unripe pepper. And any unripe pepper can cause irritation if you have a sensitive digestive system. But spicy peppers, in and of themselves, do not cause these symptoms. Hiatal hernia, or the lower esophageal sphincter not functioning properly. Now, look, here's an interesting thing about these two. You can have these things going on, but the idea that a lot of docs will try to tell you is like, through no fault of your own, you have a hiatal hernia or you have LES. But those things don't just happen for no reason. So you can still heal even if you have these conditions going on, even if you have these physical things going on. They do not just happen out of the blue. They do not happen because you spent your whole life eating a diet tailored for what's exactly the best thing for the human physiology. That's not why people end up with these. All right, so what are the real causes of indigestion, acid reflux, GERD? It is weak hydrochloric acid. So hydrochloric acid, as we mentioned before, that's what your stomach glands produce. And there's two very important functions of hydrochloric acid. Number one is to break down proteins. When you eat any food, all food has proteins in it. Hydrochloric acid is to break those down so we can take those in and use them. The other function is to kill off harmful pathogens like bad bacteria, viruses that might get into the gut. So what happens is over the years, your hydrochloric acid becomes weak. And I've made another video about the relation to how this ultimately starts in a congested liver. But for our purposes here, we'll just pick it up later in that process and say that a high-fat, high-protein diet, day after day, year after year, decade after decade, takes its toll and weakens the hydrochloric acid. Now, there are other things that also weaken hydrochloric acid. Alcohol, stress. It's not just a high-fat, high-protein diet, but that's pretty much common to most people in most parts of the world. They eat some version of a high-fat, high-protein diet. It's too much demand of protein for your hydrochloric acid to keep up with, and eventually it just wears out. It gets weaker. So when that happens, remember the two jobs of hydrochloric acid, breaking down proteins and killing off harmful bugs? It can't do those as well. So you're going to have undigested protein dropping into the intestinal tract, but you're also going to have a scenario where harmful bugs, bad bacteria like strep, E. coli, H. pylori that everyone loves to talk about, are now able to set up shop in your intestinal tract. And when those bugs are thriving in there, they give off a waste product, and that's very acidic. And that's what actually bubbles up through your esophagus, and that's what gives you those symptoms of acid reflux. So it is from acid, but it's from acid from harmful bugs in your gut. And those harmful bugs were allowed to be there because your good acid was too weak. Hope that made sense. All right, so how do people try to address acid reflux, right? We've got the pharmaceuticals, right? The acid blockers, the PPI. Those are some of the biggest classes of medications. And talk about a Band-Aid at best. Man, whew, because you're not getting close to helping out the root cause if that's the approach you've been taking. Another very common one is apple cider vinegar. People love this. It's natural. It's not a pharmaceutical. It must have, it's got mother in it. It's got all these minerals. Therefore, it must be good for us. Your hydrochloric acid is very acidic. And this acetic acid in apple cider vinegar, also very acidic. That must be a one-for-one swap that we can just do. And we can just not worry about why we don't make strong stomach acid, right? No, this drives me nuts. You are now, because it is possible to just take that pharmaceutical Western medical model and just plug in something natural and think you're doing something great, right? And that's what you're doing with apple cider vinegar. You're just trying to treat symptoms. And half the time, and about half the people who try this, it makes your reflux worse, because all apple cider vinegar does is it plays a trick. It stimulates production of hydrochloric acid right after you take the apple cider vinegar. Now, some people, if their glands aren't too far gone, they have enough reserves and they can push out a little bit, and that will help with some digestion, sure. But the other people, their glands are so far gone, they just don't have any reserves of HCl to push out. And so they're just left with more burning in their stomach. And you'll meet these people. They like, yeah, I tried apple cider vinegar. It messed me up. I'm never taking that stuff again. So apple cider vinegar, very bad way to try to address acid reflux. And then there's baking soda, sodium bicarbonate, right? And people mix this and they'll drink that. Talk about your all-time backfires. This irritates your intestinal lining. It does. It irritates your vagus nerves that connect into your gut. This is not, nobody is deficient in baking soda. I don't know what else to say there. It's not going to fix anything. It's going to make it worse. So what are real solutions? What do you actually need to do? Celery juice, top of that list. Top of the list, because celery juice has all these amazing components to it, some of which strengthen the stomach glands and help them build back that specific natural to you mix of hydrochloric acid that you cannot replace by putting a completely different type of acid into your body. In fact, hydrochloric acid is a blend of 7 different acids. It's not just one. So celery juice, crucial on an empty stomach. And sometimes, depending on all these other factors that can be happening in your body, might not turn around your acid reflux overnight. You might have to be diligent with it for months and months and months till you get that, till it really brings those glands back to life. But it will. It will. Eating smaller meals, going back to the hiatal or hernia situation. Yeah, if you have that going on, eat smaller meals. We don't want to be really putting a lot of stress on the stomach all at once. And then just in general, learning to bring down your fats and your proteins, because those are such a strain on your entire digestive system. And that's probably one of the hardest things for people to really wrap their heads around and really put into practice, is how they actually can lower their fat and protein and what that's going to look like for them. But you got to head that way if you want actual healing to take place. It's just part of the equation for everyone to some degree. All right, so what foods are useful when you're trying to heal acid reflux? So all these foods help strengthen hydrochloric acid. These are not the only ones. These are some of my favorite. Pears, lemons and limes, leafy greens, cucumbers. Try the healing foods, the produce section, save for a couple items. That's where we're going to restore our health, in that section, eating those foods. Now, if you eat like a couple of these here and there, it's not enough to do it. You gotta, this is the golden goose here. these fruits and vegetables, man, talk about mankind's all-time blunders. We got tricked, honestly, but we just ignore all this amazing healing food. We wonder why everyone's sick. It's because we might have some of these here and there. Oh, I had a leafy green with a chicken Caesar salad with a protein chicken breast and a really fatty dressing. That's not going to be enough to do it. You have to do enough to tip the scales in your favor. All right, and then these are some top supplements that all help to strengthen hydrochloric acid. B12, very amazing supplement, amazing vitamin. Doesn't get talked about a whole lot for hydrochloric acid, but it does help to strengthen that hydrochloric acid. Licorice root, the herb, you can even drink this as a tea. It's a great supplement, great herb to help strengthen hydrochloric acid. And then there's barley grass juice powder. It's amazing green powder. There is no gluten in this. Also helps to strengthen digestive acid. So there you have it. Quick, brief rundown on acid reflux. Yeah. You can heal this stuff. The only way you end up not healing this is if you just give up. Don't give up. Keep going, and your body will heal. It's amazing.